So you invite your friends to dinner, and you're like, hey, where do you want to go? And they don't have an answer. So you're like, how about Chinese? Because you love Chinese, or insert whatever food you want. But you secretly worry that they just went along with it and said yes, because maybe they're shy, maybe they don't have their words and to speak up. What do you do?
This is Reid from reidaboutsex.com.
Cathy Vartuli from intimacydojo.com.
And we did this all the time where I worked. It was a rule that you had to pass 3 times before, like kind of an unspoken rule. We would get together for lunch. We had all agreed we're going to lunch. And everyone would stand around. And we kind of joked about it because it would take longer sometimes to decide where to go than to actually eat the lunch.
Caveat, Cathy is an award-winning engineer who works with really, really smart people. Some of them super smart, maybe not super articulate unless it's about math. Some of them. So, awkward genius types. Just setting the setting. Go.
Some of them were awkward genius types, and some of them were just genius types. I work with some really, really smart people. But we would often, and I still see this where I work now, it's like people will be like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Oh, I don't know. And we'd kind of go around like 3 times, and then someone could start to hesitantly suggest things. Because no one wanted to feel like they...
And so it was 3 rounds of, I don't know.
Yeah, we used to joke about it. Like,
okay.
Yeah. And sometimes we'd just say, someone would get frustrated and say, no, let's go here. And we would all go there. But sometimes we're like, oh, I really don't want to go there. They didn't give me a chance to say my thing.
Yeah.
So
that, for me as a communication geek, is like, you're building up a protocol, like a ritual.
An awkward one.
I'm a big fan of the awkward. Embrace the awkward is one of my catchphrases.
But not necessarily create the awkward.
Yeah, go to reidaboutsex.com/awkward. I have a whole thing on it. But so you're giving everyone permission, social permission, to pass before they say what they want, which is actually very Japanese, by the way.
Yes, it
and
is.
I think there's a Chinese tradition of you say no, you say no, you say no. I possibly couldn't, possibly couldn't, possibly couldn't. I think is it 3 times, and then on the 4th time you're like, mine.
And if someone doesn't offer it the 4th time, you're like, or 3rd time,
that's probably like a whole faux pas.
Yeah.
So you created a situation where it was okay for people not to ask or to be polite by passing, and then people could start to speak up.
Right.
Okay. And then sometimes somebody would cut the chase and ruin the protocol, and then it would silence people.
Right. They would feel like, oh, we have to do that because they were definitive. They're like, let's go here. And nobody felt like they had the right to say, well, I hate that place.
Well, when everyone was putting their suggestion into the hat after passing for 3 rounds, how did the decision get made?
It just took a long time until I think it was whoever got most frustrated would just say where they wanted to go.
And then how would that generally land on everybody?
I think it depended on how it matched what their internal picture of what lunch was going to look like was, which it changed every day. Like someone would be like, oh, I had Mexican last night. I don't want to have it again today. And sometimes they'd say that. I mean, like we would change, but just like you said, thinking at dinner, like let's have Chinese. Like great, but if someone who has a strong personality says it, sometimes people that are shyer or more reticent may feel swept away and like they don't have a voice. And I like to make sure everybody has a voice. And
yeah. Well, there's a couple of different things you can do. Ideas around how do you give people a voice, even if they're shy. So as a teacher, I'll often, when I ask people to ask questions, I'll be like going once, going twice. My shy and introverted people.
Call them out.
Well, it's more
not by name.
It's more just giving people permission to have not shared right away. So it's really like you can geek out on how do you handle, and maybe some of you are experts with shy and reticent, introverted type folks because you grew up with them, or maybe
are them.
Or you are them, so you're just naturally kind of calibrated to deal with fellow shy folks. And I have no value judgments, but there is a certain kind of extroverted privilege of being able to bound in and just speak up, and then I'm a 220-pound white guy, so there's even more privilege there. So the thing that comes to mind for me is in your engineering circle of geniuses, if everyone just wrote down on a piece of paper, on a Post-it note, where they wanted.
And then we tallied it, it would have been faster.
Either tallied, or everyone throws it into the hat, and the agreement is, we're going to pick, that's where we're going, unless somebody, really just had, that food within the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
right? Like, so you can build a way for everyone to opt in, where they feel empowered and had a voice. And then you could also install, just being a nerd, if it's kind of like spin the bottle, like, because sometimes there's that one person that the bottle never lands on, and all they're doing is watching everybody make out, and then they're like, oh my God, like, so you could install that as before you reach in, is there anybody here right now who hasn't had their restaurant type picked in the last week or last 2 weeks or whatever? And then that way you encourage people to be able to speak up. At some point, we're going to have people in our lives who never spoke up, who feel silenced, and we're never going to know because they're not telling us.
Yeah.
So
sometimes having this just talking about this can make a difference.
We're showing them this video.
Yes.
So again, like, there's not like a hard and fast answer. It's more about how do you talk about it with your friends and create a safe space to find out if maybe there are people among you that are close to you who aren't speaking up.
And I want to let you know that your protocols did help. After I started working with you and learned about asking for what I wanted, my friend and I would decide on what restaurant we wanted to go to, and we'd send out an email to everyone, we're going to this restaurant, do you want to join us?
And how did that work?
It was a lot easier because people could opt out if they didn't want to go there, or they're, the more vocal ones could say, hey, let's go here instead. But it just
opened up a conversation.
Yeah. And most of the time people are like, oh yeah, we don't have to decide, let's go there.
And the learning piece here is sometimes taking initiative is difficult for some folks, but when you have a buddy,
well, that way I knew I had at least one person I enjoyed to have lunch with. And so if it was just the two of us, that was fine. And if other people joined us, it was fine too.
Cool. Leave some comments. What are your thoughts? We're interested. What's your favorite food? Where are we going for lunch? We went there last week.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to subscribe to my social media, it's right there. And please subscribe to this channel there. If you'd like to see more goofy Reid and Cathy, there's more videos there.
I didn't see that. Why are they there?